Meetup.
Okay, let's start today's call. Welcome you all, movie buffs. We almost completed 11 weeks successfully. This is our 12th week. Thanks to all the movie buffs for wonderful support and joining for all the calls. And this week we are going to have a movie review on one of the favorite subject to every boy or every man, even women as well. So today we are going to have a review on Ford versus Ferrari. I would just want to go as a look with Ken Miles look. So many people are interested in this movie. And when we discussed about this movie and we thought to review Ford versus Ferrari, before we asked somebody to review the movie, we got the nominations like 5 to 6 people. So for time constraint, we made it to only 4 speakers for this week. So like as regular, this week we'll be having 4 speakers will be giving their reviews, and then we will be having a review session like questions to reviewers, and then audience perspective review, and then you will be having an interesting session of knowing your movie buff, and then lastly we'll be having a quiz. To welcome you all, first let's invite speaker 1. He is like ex-banker, currently he works with Oracle, and I don't know, like I felt very difficult to study my engineering itself, but this guy done BCom, MCom, MBA, MCA, LLD, lots of, okay, and basically he also knows the 7 languages, he understands everything. Let me welcome Kalyan Chakravarti.
Good evening, everybody. It was so warm to meet you all for another review on Ford versus Ferrari. And today the climate was very excellent in the morning, but later part it becomes so hot. So let us kickstart with the movie Ford versus Ferrari. This movie was released in 2019, and it is a true story. It's a kick into 7,000 RPM and enjoy a brief ride through history when considering watching a solid film. Ford versus Ferrari, the exhilarating true story behind the 1966 24 hours Le Mans race, serves as a story for the crossing paths between Carroll Shelby, that is Matt Damon, who played the role, and eccentric British driver Ken Smiles, Christian Bale, and how they have come together to take down Enzo Ferrari and show Ford off as a top contender. The movie was directed by James Mangold, takes on an American story that rewrote racing history, displaying some of the most exciting scenes we witnessed seen in 2019. From the driver's point of view to the spectator's point of view, we are taking a journey with all who witnessed this great victory and the events that led up to it. As failing Henry Ford too seeks out an idea to save his late father's company, he takes initiative to challenge Ferrari in a race of perfection by hiring Carroll Shelby, designer extraordinary of Shelby American. The issue of Shelby is that he can design cars, but he knows the best driver is Ken Miles, who seems arrogant to him at first. Ken Miles is a car guru who spends his days either fixing cars or racing them. Putting aside that differences, we are bound with a dynamic duo who creates the perfect Ford GT to shake up the Reen Ferrari has claimed for years. This movie is filled with excitement, frustration, sympathy, comrade, loss, heart attack, spirit of true friendship. These are some of the emotions the viewers will experience while watching this cinematic jewel. Put 2 all-star characters together and you'll witness the closest thing we can get into time traveling following the bond between Miles and Shelby. Matt Damon seals the deal on being confident, determined Shelby, while Christian Bale displays another change physically along with his arsenal of character traits that helps him depict roles perfectly. Up close, the personal cinematic shots kept viewers' eyes glued on the screen as we were passengers to Ken Miles' amazing race. With this and a strong supporting cast and a great musical score to evoke emotions, Ford versus Ferrari scored an 8.5 out of 10. This is such a thing as a perfect lap. Matt Damon playing the role of Carroll Shelby, one of the best racers of his time. now retired and working as a car dealer come automotive designer. But as financial problem, I always felt he is a better actor compared to Brad Pitt. George Clooney or that Fast and Furious Taklu guy, the Vin Diesel. But these guys have a better marketing and PR team than Matt. It seems, see it that he is brilliant. Christian Bale playing the role of Ken Miles, intense and action role in the Batman series, but an emotional and caring family man here. Just loved his acting here. With perfect comedy timing, bit of attitude, and difficult to get along with an ace car mechanic and participants in small car racing events, who is also financially broke. क्या लगा रहे तो सबको पैसा की तकलीफ. Jokes apart, now let's get serious. Building a car for a race and its mechanisms like the tire, the brakes, the machine, the weight, the factor, the heat, the air pressure inside the cabin, and most important is when the car is moving at around 7,000 RPM, nearly 200 miles per hour, how risky it can be. The runtime of a movie is 2 hours 35 minutes, which will feel long. But as I said earlier, the racing car mechanisms, Ford executive directors' politics, and the two lead guys' anecdotes will keep you hooked up till the end. It is based on the mid 1960s time, so the good thing about the movie is there no nonsense overdose of gadgets, computers, and technology like what we are bombarded with seeing present or futuristic films made currently. A true story made well with dramatic presentations by director James Mangold. Some inside stuff. Initially, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt were considered for the lead roles, but director insisted on Matt and Christian. Acha kiya bhai. Ford remains the only American band to win Le Mans. They won 4 times. Ferrari, the main rival shown here, has won 9 times. Porsche remains the highest with 19 victories. Christian Bale's real life character, Ken Miles, and the car racing at over 200 miles and an hour reminds me of the poetry of Robert Frost, learned in school. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promised to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Nice screenplay and an effective background, score added up with good performance makes it a movie to be not to be missed, worth a watch on a big screen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kalyan Chakravarti. You have given a
Yeah, thank
wonderful
you.
review and crisp of the story and background, like about the actors. We everybody thoroughly enjoyed. The next speaker. This
Yeah.
speaker, how much we tell about this speaker is also very less.
Okay.
Again, we have a like vibrant speakers today. So he is none other than the teacher and a coach and improv session trainer for kids and adults, and also he is a chief learning officer at Learn Villa. Okay, this guy is when he speaks, we all get vibrations. Let me welcome our speaker, Ram, the Gilbert Ram. Over to you.
So first of all, let me start with one of the keynote aspect. This movie is not about just cars. It's not about just the machineries. It's open to all. Why? Let's start with one dialogue. Okay, the dialogue here goes like this: the Shelby's dialogue. There is this point at 7,000 RPM where everything fades. The machine becomes weightless, just disappears, and all that's left is a body moving through space and time. 7,000 RPM. That's where you meet it, you feel it coming, it creeps upon you and it closes to your ears, and just one question matters. Just one question matters. Who are you? Who are you? It's about the driver, it's not about the car, it's about the driver, it's about the person. So Ford versus Ferrari, it's about just 4 characters, okay? It's Shelby, Miles, Henry Ford 2, and the Le Mans track. Cool. So when I say this, the movie is completely about emotions and characters. I don't know anything about car. Thanks to Anand, all the josh about cars and learnings happened 2 days back when he gave me the yarn. So the next speaker is going to speak about that, not me. So where to start with? So if you see in the movie, it's about the Tamil saying, right? எப்போ வந்து நம்ம பின்னாடி நெருப்பு பத்திக்குதோ அப்பதான் வந்து நம்ம வேலை செய்வோன்ற மாதிரி 3 கேரக்டர். First, there's Ken Miles. He has lost anything. Garage is locked. So this is his last attempt. If at all he wins this race, he has some life beyond it. Done. Next, Henry Ford 2. Okay. Henry Ford took the entire the Henry factory plant is going to be shut down. And if at all they are not going to revamp with a new design, there is nothing. The company is going to lose. And third, there is Shelby, who is betting everything. It's all his earnings, all his factory is betting on the race. And if he doesn't win, that's it, lost. So all three people have the last moment in their life and they have to win it. And that's the Ford versus Ferrari for you. Now coming to the relations and emotions, right? I always wonder, I love to work with characters who are not mine. That was exactly Shelby and Miles' character. Shelby is a guy who's like Tamil solnuna powder poosi vikra or character. Even you give him the rusty iron, he just coats it beautifully and gives it to you. ஆனா இதே நேரத்துல மைல்ஸ் என்ன அப்படின்னா the opening shot says it all. The opening shotல என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா நீங்க ஓட்ட வேண்டிய கார் என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது இல்ல ஒரு பிளைமோத் வேணா எடுத்து ஓட்டுங்க 2000 RPM ஓட்டுற வண்டி எல்லாம் கிடையாது. You need to drive it like a sports car but you're not doing it. அதுதான். Whereas if Shelby was there in that location, அவர் என்ன சொல்லிருப்பாருன்னா சார் நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா பூசி இருப்பான். ஆனா மைல்ஸ் அப்படி இல்லை. It's a direct straight forward guy. And you know throughout the movie, you give it, you take it அப்படின்ற அந்த கேரக்டர் தான். So the chemistry works beautifully. The other aspect where chemistry works beautifully அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது two different characters but they have the same mentality towards the car. So on that note, little அப்படியே மூவ் பண்ணி போகும்போது the relations, when I said one beautiful relation is the wife character. It's like ஒரு டிப்பிக்கலான வைஃப்னு ஸ்டீரியோடைப் பண்ண விரும்பல. But there will be this particular scene in the movie where the wife takes 10 miles on the car. The only motive for her will be to get the word from his mouth. நேத்து நைட் நீ எங்க போன, ஷெல்பியோட வெளில போன, அந்த விஷயத்தை ஏன் நீ சொல்ல மாட்டற? That will be her entire focus. ஆனா அது மட்டும் நம்ம தலைவர் சொல்லவே மாட்டாரு. The reaction keeps on changing till the moment when he discloses that yes, I'm being paid $200 per day. அப்படின்னு அந்த கேட்டோன்னா $200 per day அந்த டேஸ்க்கு அது பெரிய அமௌண்ட். She doesn't know how to react. ஐயோ இப்ப நான் கோவப்படணுமே, ஐயோ அதே நேரத்துல $200 is a nice amount, how should I react அப்படின்ற அந்த சீன் லைக் பர்ஃபெக்டா இருக்கும், பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். The one more relation based emotion scene அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது the father and son relation, அந்த 8 board sign பக்கத்துல they'll have a night background discussion. சூப்பரா இருக்கும். லைக் நம்ம பசங்க படத்துல இல்ல அப்பா படத்துல எல்லாம் ஒரு சீன் எடுத்து வச்ச மாதிரி இருக்கும் அந்த இடத்துல. So it will be like he will be explaining on the perfect lap. And the dialogues நான் ரிசைட் பண்ணி நான் கெடுக்க விரும்பல. பட் அந்த டயலாக அவன் எப்படி கோட் பண்ணிருப்பான் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா லைஃப் அண்ட் ரேஸ் பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா சிங்க் ஆகும். ஸோ தி எமோஷன் தட் தி சன் ஹேஸ் ஃபார் தி டேட், ஒரு சின்ன சின்ன விஷயம் 24 hours முடிச்சிருப்பான், அவன் ரூம்ல தூங்கிட்டு இருக்கான கிழிச்சான், அவன் போறவக்குள்ள ரேடியோல வச்சு கேட்டுட்டு இருப்பான் அப்படின்ற அந்த சின்ன சின்ன மூமெண்ட்ஸ் தான் பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். Now for the last aspect which I want to talk is on the certain characters. ரெனிங்டன் கேரக்டர் இருப்பாங்க, அதாவது ஷெல்பியோட ஹெட் மெக்கானிக். ஒரு பியூட்டிஃபுல்லான நம்ம தமிழ்ல சொல்ற இதுதான், என்னதான் உனக்கு திறமை இருந்தாலும் அந்த நேரத்துல உனக்கு மூளை வேலை செய்யலன்னா வேஸ்ட் அப்படின்ட்டு. தி ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெமான் சீன்ல when the car door gets jammed, அப்போ எல்லாருமே நட்டு எடுத்துட்டு வருவான், புக்க ஒருத்த நோண்டுவான், எல்லாம் பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம தலைவர் போயிட்டு ஒரு சுத்தி அடிச்சு நகருங்க எல்லாரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு போடு. So which is like presence of mind. அது நிறைய இடத்துல bookish knowledge is waste and presence of mind is what அப்படின்றது மூவில நிறைய இடத்துல வரும். To close on, the last aspect will be my first aspect of the movie also. Who is the real owner or the real the boss of the movie is Henry Ford too, இல்லையா? அதோட டைரக்டர்ஸ் கட் எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும். The movie start ஆன ஒரு 6th minuteலயே when he says shut it down அப்படின்னு the entire Ford company gets அந்த மிஷினரி எல்லாமே ஸ்டாப் ஆகும். அப்ப இவனோட பேஸ் வரும், ரைட்ல டைரக்டட் பை அப்படின்னு போடும். யார் வேணா படத்துல வந்துக்கோங்க, ஆனா நான் தான் பாஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்ற இடத்துல லைக் பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா பண்ணிருப்பான். certain other aspects which I like was of course அனந்த் பேசுவார், அந்த கார் சைட்ல அதெல்லாம் பேசுவாரு. So this is something that I like emotion wise and சூப்பரா இருந்தது. ஸ்பேனரா ஃப்ரேம் பண்ற சீன் ஓகே கமெண்ட்ஸ் நான் ஏதோ வெபினார் மோடுக்கு போயிட்டேன். ஓகே ஃபைன். So that's my review on Ford versus Ferrari. Definitely one thing which I want to clarify, this is not a sports based, so don't avoid it thinking that it's a sports based movie. It's a complete emotional ride. Please do watch it. Thank you, Srini, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gilbert. You have covered all the characters including the Ken Miles' wife as well. That's very beautiful. Like we know that I one of the attracting characters in that movie and typical wife role, and it's very supportive. And you covered most of the aspects And coming to next speaker, very interesting speaker. He works in a travel company where I don't know, mostly I see as a CEO of that travel company, I believe. And he also one of the movie buff. He's very passionate about the movies, and whenever comes to a movie, and very good supporter. And he used to watch movies like 4 to 5 every month, it seems like, along with his parents, and that's wonderful. And also I come to know recently that he has stopped watching movies for almost 10 years, but after our group has motivated him to back to watch movies. So I am very surprised to know that. Without wasting any time, I also want to tell about this guy to review this movie. And today he is the one of the person he is asking from last 3 weeks, let's do the review about the Ford and Ferrari. I don't know why. After that only I seen. I have watched two times this movie, then I understand why he is more attracted to this movie. Maybe we'll hear from our Ananta Krishnan. Over to you, Ananta.
Thank you very much, Srini. That was a lot of a build-up. I have been a person who always loved trains, planes, and automobiles. Anything that has wheels has interested me all through my life. And of course, movies is something which I've always loved. And this was a movie which came in as a surprise for me and had no expectations. I had not read the review or anything at all. I went to the movie the second day, second show, IMAX, and it was no looking back. And whenever I find time, I was watching this movie, and unfortunately, the lockdown came, and I had to stop at the sixth time. Coming to the movie is all about 4 or 5 different aspects. We have Henry Ford II, and we have Enzo Ferrari. We have Lee Iacocca, who was the sales and marketing head of Ford, and we have Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles. These 5 characters build the movie to whatever it is. And this is an incident that actually happened, and the movie is roughly based about the real lives, but of course there is a cinematic angle that has been pushed into it. And if you look at each individual as such, if I look at this movie as a director's perspective, everything has been done in a different way, a very unique way. Gilbert has covered most of the aspects, so I'm covering up areas which he has not covered. Have you heard of the Le Mans 24 hours race? Yes, I think 50% of the people here may not have heard of it or have not known about it. For a person who doesn't know anything about this race and is sitting in the theater, and it has to be explained to him. And we have this wonderful scene where the kid has written down the actual racetrack, and he is just wondering how his dad is going to win the race. And his father explains to him as to how the driver has to think and act, and how the turn has to happen, and what speed they have to travel. And that's a very small thing. ஒரு சின்ன புள்ளிக்கு சொல்லி கொடுக்கிற மாதிரி அந்த ரேஸ் பத்தி intro is given, and over the second half of the movie you get to know how all these things actually come into effect. This particular movie this incident could have never happened if there was one incident or a koi, in fact, Lee Iacocca, who's the sales head of Ford, அவன் ஒரு பொய் சொல்லாம இருந்தா இந்த இன்சிடென்ட் எதுவுமே நடந்திருக்காது. Henry Ford II, as we all know, he was running this factory, Ford brand, for almost 2 decades. But then there was always this impression that he was not able to live up to his father or his grandfather who started the company. And he was always getting into emotional tangles. That was one character problem with him. And we have Enzo Ferrari, who is in a very deep trouble, and he needs to make money. He needs to get money out of whatever he has done in the past, and he doesn't want this Ford to take any stake in it. He just uses the situation and invites Ford to come over to his place and creates a scene and establishes a document where Fiat, who is also looking to buy the company, and increase increases its stake by around like $7 million. And this actually creates a very big problem for Ford. And these guys go back to Ford, and they are standing in front of Ford, Henry Ford II, and he wants to know, Ford wants to know what happened. Why did the deal go through? It was such a good offer and everything was fine, and why did they fail? And he says, sir, Ferrari doesn't have any good regards on us. He said, Ford makes ugly little cars in ugly factories. He says, what else did he say? And he says, he called you fat, sir. And this actually triggers the emotion. And he says, we are going into a war with Ferrari. And that's the essence of the movie. And this actually triggers the event. He spends more money than what he would have spent to buy out Ferrari just to win a race. And he tries in 1963, he fails. 1964, he fails. 65, he's almost got things together, but he doesn't put it in place. And 66, again, he starts outsourcing the work to Shelby. That's when Shelby and Miles come over, and the movie unfolds itself to whatever it is. The essence of the movie is really carried forward by every character that has been portrayed, because the director has made it very, very specific that the individual character does not come out, and it is only the script and the movie that gets the importance right from beginning till the end. And in the end, it is the script and the story that goes as a winner. And as Gilbert mentioned already, it is loads and loads of emotional experiences, lots and lots of wow moments which you will really relish as you see. இந்த படம் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் பார்த்தா அவ்வளோ பிடிக்காது, பார்க்க பிடிக்கும். So I would suggest you keep seeing it every week once, and you will start liking it even more. That's it from me.
Very crispy review and excellent. Thank you so much for the wonderful review. And you have covered most of the things. And think I'm very much impressed with this movie and movie review. And this thanks to once again Ananta for suggesting Ford and Ferrari, which is very well connected. So I was maintaining that attitude with the Googles. So once again, to all of you, like to talk about our movie buffs, actually, like we almost have this group from the last 5 years. Every week, we used to plan movies and go Friday and first day first shows kind of thing. After this lockdown, with the help of many people and many suggestions, we were able to conduct 12 weeks of movie reviews. Thank you all once again. And again, bye bye, signing off.